What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here, Eric Rodriguez, your host of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Airs every night, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Talking all things wrestling, AEW. We're talking about WWE, obviously. We're also talking about New Japan Professional Wrestling, some Stardom, some MLW, some just maybe some old school WCW, some ECW, and just everything under the sun in terms of professional wrestling. Hope you guys you guys are almost there. You guys are almost there. It's about that week. Tuesday is that day that you're like, all right, on my Tuesday I got Monday over with. Thank God. Kind of brush that off of my shoulder there. So, now we have Tuesday, Wednesday, tomorrow you get over that hump, and then we have Thursday and Friday. So we're almost there. We're almost there. So make sure, just stick with me, the GSMC Wrestling Lord podcast, and we'll get through a week. A lot of people have, I look forward to watching Monday Night Raw, or I look forward to watching NXT. Look forward to watching the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We can have a lot of fun. Obviously, tell me how you feel. Tell me how you're feeling in the chat. Tell me what you like about wrestling right now. Tell me what you liked about Money in the Bank. Tell me what you didn't like. Sometimes a little disagreement, builds for better content. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show and the network, the GSMC Sports Network, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. We have a great show for you. We have a great show for you today on tap. Today we're going to do our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We're going to have our WWE NXT preview. We're going to talk about why AEW basically dropped the ball and how it was like the biggest mistake of why did you let CM Punk go. And segment 4, we're going to talk about Cody Rhodes, why he left AEW. And segment 5, we're going to talk about Tuesdays today in wrestling history. But before we move on to any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Put your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me some things about wrestling, some further, storylines that you want to see projected on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw right now. It was absolutely electric. It was absolutely awesome. It was probably one of the best episodes of Monday Night Raw within the Paul Levesque era, to be honest, because there was so much just twist. There were so many turns. There was, it was a lot. It was, we'll dig into that right now. It really does help the show, guys. Leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, baby, all the way 110%. Like, subscribe, follow the show. Do it for yourself. Do it for the show. Most importantly, do it for your favorite wrestling fan. Your boy E here, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m., 11 p.m. Pacific time on the GSMC Sports Network. So yeah, let's dig on into our first segment. We're going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. So we had a fallout, obviously, after a pay-per-view, you had the fallout from Money in the Bank. Monday Night Raw, obviously, you didn't really have any clear winners of the ladder match, but besides Drew McIntyre, but kind of blew it. He was the first ever person to cash it in on the same night after winning the briefcase and coming up empty. So, definitely think that was kind of crazy. But, after everything that's happened between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, seems kind of fitting. Seems kind of fitting right now. Maybe WWE could be pushed, maybe they are pushing it just a little bit more than a lot of WWE fans would, kind of hope for. Like for me, I really did not want them to use the briefcase to kind of further the controversy, further the rivalry between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I feel like that can kind of develop itself on its own. If you're going to have the briefcase go out to somebody, it should be somebody who has the element of surprise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of knew when Tiffany Stratton won the briefcase for the women's side, I kind of knew. I was like, all right, we're not really going to have, like, she's that heel that's probably going to cash in on her friend Nia Jax on SummerSlam. That would probably be, my grand prediction there, sorry. But I feel like in the men's, you needed something different. Obviously, you had Damian Priest wait all the way to WrestleMania to cash in against Drew McIntyre. So it just would have been cool to kind of have that nuance, kind of have that unpredictability of the Ben's briefcase that hasn't really been there for, quite a long time. And I'm not, obviously the Money in the Bank briefcase is the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's going to be unpredictable either way. But imagine if Carmelo Hayes had it. If Carmelo Hayes had it, if Jey Uso had it, heck, even Andrade. It would have just been so like everybody would have had their eyes glued onto the TV. And I heard Money in the Bank honestly had a lot of criticisms. 5 matches, 3 hours. Come on, Paul. Come on, Paul Levesque. What are you doing, dog? Would like the WWE Tag Team Championships defended the night before. The World Heavyweight Champions, the Tag Team World Championships defended 2 weeks before. No United States Championship match, no WWE Women's Championship match, no WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship match. So I don't. I'm. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best, but they still got some pretty good feedback. So yeah. So it started off, a lot of stuff from Money in the Bank to talk about, but got to move on to Monday Night Raw. SummerSlam is 3 weeks away from this Saturday. CM Punk comes out. He thinks John Cena, which is actually pretty awesome. I'm glad he kind of referenced how he kind of referenced the pipe bomb. Like he came out, he was blaming John Cena for basically for all his failures. Not really his failures, but why in terms of professional wrestling, there's some sort of politics, involved in that. So definitely love the fact that CM Punk came out, addressed his former foe. Now obviously now they're good friends. They're, as you grow up, you kind of get rid of that animosity, that ego. You get rid of that, that stick up your butt, and you're like, you know what, like maybe I shouldn't be like, maybe I should be nice to people, like you know what I mean. So I feel like once when CM Punk and John Cena finally kind of, they kind of closed the gate here tonight. And obviously John Cena wasn't there, but all the kind of hate was on Punk's side. So it was kind of, it's kind of cool to see that. So, I don't know. Something that I've also analyzed, and we're going to talk about it a little later on in the show with my segment 3. We're going to talk about you see CM Punk on Monday Night Raw. He's killing it. He's killing it. CM Punk's so prominent. CM Punk is so popular. He's so marketable that he's on both brands. He was on SmackDown. He's one of the only superstars on Raw that was like, all right, he returns, to Chicago on SmackDown, like, you know what I mean? Not a lot of people have that leeway. Not a lot of people have that, kind of that, stretch, kind of have that flexibility, so to speak. And, CM Punk, he's doing wonders for both shows. He could honestly carry Monday Night Raw by himself. And it just made me think, I was like, dude, I feel like AEW, even if you had CM Punk and all the controversy backstage with Jack Perry and the Elite and stuff like that, after All Out, I feel like they made a huge mistake getting rid of CM Punk, but we will, we're going to dig into that later on. Moving on. So CM Punk says consequences for all the stupid things that Drew McIntyre does deserves, all the actions that Drew McIntyre does, deserves consequences. Adam Pearce, he was asked by CM Punk to lift the suspension so CM Punk could finally fight Drew McIntyre one-on-one, which, obviously a lot of people are behind. Seth Rollins comes out. We all anticipated Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, ever since CM Punk came back at Survivor Series last year, has kind of had the mat on for CM Punk. By all means, it's fair. It's fair. Seth Rollins stated that he hated Punk for sticking his nose in his business. And CM Punk, he did apologize, but as soon as he apologized, he started mocking, Seth Rollins. And, it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. I liked how they kind of started the promo. I liked how they kind of left it open for CM Punk for always being CM Punk. Like the same reason why you love CM Punk, the same night he could do something that was like, dude, oh man, I kind of hate CM Punk. And at the same time, you can have CM Punk just be absolutely hated by the WWE universe, and then he does something, and you're like, oh, like, I like CM Punk. Like, that's kind of cool. So, obviously, a lot of, different perspectives. CM Punk is a character within the professional wrestling industry that you can absolutely do anything with his storyline, and it just makes sense. You can't do that with a lot of people. Like, look what happened with Bayley. When Bayley was, with Damage Control, and she was a heel. She was one of the worst heels in the world. It was terrible. It was absolutely awful. It was, it felt I felt uncomfortable. So I feel like a lot of these superstars could, definitely, they have their own personality. And although it is, it's scripted, it's choreographed and stuff like that, but you still have to find the right place for the right moment. You have to, the right superstar for the right push, for the right storyline development, also for, just that role that you have to play. So, definitely love CM Punk within that. Um, Seth Rollins, he made it pretty clear that CM Punk is kind of now his enemy. It was kind of crazy. I thought it was kind of cool how he's like, actions do have consequences. I'm gonna snap your arm again. You know what I mean? Like, for putting your nose in my business. It was good. Honestly, I like that. We were teased to CM Punk and Seth Rollins before this whole Drew McIntyre thing kind of surfaced on Monday Night Raw. So, it's kind of cool to kind of see it become like full circle. Hopefully, we'll have like a triple threat match, which would be actually pretty badass. But yeah. So next we have Jey Uso against Chad Gable. So Chad Gable and they didn't really have a chance to fight. Kind of crazy, kind of sucks, but I don't know. I just felt like overall, you kind of had the Wyatt family once again hit a promo. That's the third time in a row someone came with, with the VHS tape to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, wanting to play it in the trailer and stuff like that. So, it's to the point where, I do like the Wyatt Six, and I know, the old school mentality of how, Bo Dallas and how Bray Wyatt kind of like to structure their promos and stuff like that. But it's to the point where I feel like if we get a fourth promo in a row where she comes out and hands a, like a VHS tape, I think I'm going to lose my stuff. I think I'm going to lose my stuff. So Chad Gable was eventually left to die. You had Jey Uso who's like, yeet, and he just dipped out. You're like, dude, like, what are you doing? Dude, why'd you dip out on him? It was kind of, I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was pretty awesome. Chad Gable eventually did make it out. Once again, it was only Sister Abigail out there delivering the tape once again to Michael Cole. And finishing, oh my God, time is going by so fast. Finishing this up rapidly, we do have Sheamus. He had a promo where he, kind of talked about 15 years with him being in the WWE, asking him what's next. Bronson Reed confronted him, saying, Sheamus, you're stuck in the past. You can't move forward because you're left in the past. You're old, you're weak, you're brittle. You can't move up to Bronson Reed, as a competitor, so to speak. So then you have Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, he honored the gentleman's agreement, although he was screwed. He said, I won't come for your title. And then Damian Priest was like, you know what? Let's just throw that out the window. After I get done, taking down Gunther, I want to see us fighting again. Which I love that, because that match was pretty bad. That match was, just disaster after disaster after disaster. After the failed kickoff by Damian Priest, after Drew McIntyre, then the whole CM Punk thing, and it was like, I don't know. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. Next we have Sami Zayn come out, and then Bron Breakker once again spears mid sentence. Bron Breakker was like, you know what? Blah, 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 blah. He comes out and he attacks Sami Zayn. I think I don't know what they're doing with this character, Bron Breakker. I don't know if they want him to be more like his uncle or to be more like his dad and Rick Steiner or Scott Steiner. But you got to figure something out. Ilja Dragunov came out. He protected Sami Zayn, and he challenged him to a match. So I thought that was pretty cool. And also you got a spot. You saw a spot of Jason Jordan, former tag team participant from not Alpha Academy. What is it? Oh my God. They were like oh my God. American Alpha. American Alpha. Him and Chad Gable were amazing. Absolutely amazing. But then once again, WWE splitting up a tag team, being like, yeah, let's push them. Let's push them as singles wrestlers. That's so cool. It's not. It's not. Sometimes you gotta just let it go. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. Next, we had Judgment Day against Braun Strowman and the Awesome Truth. This wasn't really a match, more like a promo of why Braun Strowman is, he still continues to be a problem for the Judgment Day. And throughout the match, and something that I kind of thought about, and I'm going to be, really brief with this, is how the Miz has changed. The Miz has changed so much. Basically, the WWE World Tag Team Championships were lost because of Awesome Truth, and the Miz had nothing to do with it. He should have came out, probably turned his back on R-Truth. I know a lot of people are like, "Dude, what are you talking about, dude?" I feel like the way they're doing it right now is, kind of fitting, but especially with the division open up, the Intercontinental Championship, we don't know who Sami Zayn's going to fight next. You have Bron Breakker doing stupid stuff, doing stupid promos. Maybe it's time to, kind of insert The Miz into this again. The Miz is one of the best reigning Intercontinental Championship holders in the history of the WWE. So how fitting would it be for The Miz to kind of be like, you know what, I'm going to turn my back on Truth, go heel once again, fight Sami Zayn at like SummerSlam, or fight Sami Zayn going towards the fire. I don't know. I feel like that would be a, pretty good idea. So CM Punk was ordered to go home by Adam Pearce. Next week, we're just going to have Drew McIntyre and Adam Pearce. Should be interesting. Should be awesome. We had another Uncle Howdy. You had You had Bo Dallas being seen in Adam Pearce's office. Adam Pearce closed the door very subtly. Perhaps there's something more to be answered from that. Next, we have Katana Chance, Kid and Carter, and Lyra Valkyria taking on Damage Control. Damage Control, picked up the victory. And then you had Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler kind of aligning themselves together. I think it's perfect. I think, with those three girls, like Absolution, kind of like you have Damage Control, they're going to be amazing. I feel like this is going to be the start of a beautiful relationship. Hopefully, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler win the WWE World Women's Tag Team titles. And lastly, Mommy came back. Mommy came back to confront Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was scared shitless, and Dominik Mysterio, he got caught. Once when he finally gave in, he got caught. Actions have consequences, my boy. Sorry. So, love Rhea Ripley came back. Going to be interested to kind of see how they put her back in the title picture. But, that was WWE Monday Night Raw. All right, so we're going to move on. We have our WWE NXT preview. Do not go anywhere. We're going to dive deep into the subject matter, talking about analysis, talking about, projected storylines. So, hey, do not touch that button. We're going to be back in about, I want to say like 20 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy, Eric Rodriguez here, your favorite wrestling fan with all your cool wrestling factoids, future storylines, all the action inside and outside of the ring, even behind the curtains. We talk about stuff, we talk about rumors. We talk about potential storylines. We talk about, maybe a company executive, like maybe going, I'm just kidding. No, we don't get that crazy. We don't get that crazy. Gotta, talk about all things wrestling. Which is awesome. Love wrestling. So, just kind of reiterate what we talked about. We talked about WWE Monday Night Raw. We had our review of that. It was a great Monday Night Raw. Absolutely electric. And we're going to jump on into our WWE NXT preview. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys that we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets gets recognized. Make sure, you become a bigger part of the show. Make sure your question gets read on air from the millions of viewers. Make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. As a wrestling fan, you do have questions that pop up. Make sure you shoot it in the chat 1,010%. I love criticism. I love to be challenged. I love a lot of back and forth banter. This network also, we love you guys. We love the audience. We would be nothing without the audience. 1,010%. So don't be too shy, but shoot in the chat. Give me a shout out where you're listening from. Be like, hey, it's your boy Kenny from Arkansas or whatever. Like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just talk to me. Just talk to me. Love your guys' views on certain stuff like that. Once again, the link is at the GSMC podcast on there. All right, so WWE NXT, we're going to talk about it right now. But before we get a chat, we have the GSMCpodcast.net, the GSMC Podcast Network, excuse me. Keep up the good work on the channel. Appreciate it. And shout out from South Bronx, brother BKL Contreras, a.k.a. Sports Entertainment Guy. Oh, my God. Talk about a promo like that. That was like, I feel like that was like a WWE thing. That was pretty dope. That was, giving a shout out to my brother BKL Contreras, aka Sports Entertainment Guy. Absolutely love that. 1,010%. Keep chatting, keep, sending your chats like that. Honestly, I gotta be honest, that gave me goosebumps. Look at that. Look at that. It gave me some goosebumps. No, but it was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Keep sending the chat. Absolutely love that. So let's talk about our WWE NXT preview. So obviously, kind of like Monday Night Raw, how it was a fallout from Money in the Bank. On WWE NXT tonight, we have the fallout from WWE Heatwave. NXT, pretty awesome. Wesley will address the WWE Universe. We will have a Heritage Cup Championship between the defending champion, the Dawn of WWE NXT, Tony D'Angelo, taking on Lexis King. Lexis King, he's looking for a purpose. He's looking for a spot within the WWE NXT roster. Throughout, he kind of, I don't want to say he's been kind of made a joke, because obviously these guys are professionals. I feel like, the word joke is like kind of nowhere in the vocabulary in terms of talking about professional wrestlers. But Lexis King, I feel like if it's, if it's his time to step up, I feel like it's got to be right now. Wesley cannot challenge for the NXT North American Championship. If the Dawn loses tonight, you can bet that Tony D'Angelo will challenge Obafemi for I think their next pay-per-view was announced on X. I think it's going to be September 9th, September 1st at No Mercy NXT. So definitely make sure it's going to be pretty awesome. Love that. Tony D'Angelo is, he's electric. Love the whole, the fan kind of thing like that. Definitely love that. I think it's super cool. Next, we have Ariana Grace taking on Carmen Petrovic. The two tag teamed on the pre-show of NXT Heatwave and defeated Jasmine Nix, also JC Jane, which was actually pretty surprising. Which was, I'm not going to say it's too surprising, because, Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovic are Canadian natives. They had the pay-per-view in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So I thought it was pretty cool. Looking forward. I definitely think this is going to be a match that's going to be paid attention to by WWE NXT General Manager Ava. I think the winner's going to take on Kaylani Jordan, who successfully, retained her WWE NXT Women's North American Championship. Next, we have Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe going against Gallus. We have Brooks Jensen sits down with Ava. This is pretty big. Brooks Jensen was seen outside of WWE so many times. He was seen being arrested. He was seen, kind of backstage. He was seen coming out during the crowd, interrupting the style. Like even Vic Joseph was kind it's the whole way they're kind of promoted it is pretty badass, because it seems it blurs the lines of reality and professional wrestling, which, it's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker in terms of professional wrestling. And we have Brother Bay Contreras, the entertainment gun. Hey, don't mind me. I'm just here to entertain, plus talk about it, wrestling style. I love that. I think that's pretty badass. Keep sending chats, bro. Keep doing it. Love that. Absolutely, 1,010%. So Brooks Jensen is going to sit down with the general manager of NXT, Ava, and should be pretty awesome. Next, we have the OC taking on OTM. OTM obviously represented, well, not represented by Jada Parker, but Jada Parker, man, ever since losing that ladder match at NXT Battleground, she's been on a tear. She's been on an absolute revenge tour. Live revenge tour. I'm just kidding. No, no, no. She's been on a revenge tour from WWE NXT, thinking that she can, she's better than Mi Chen. She defeated Mi Chen in a street fight last week on WWE NXT. But, you're kind of going against, you know, you have OTM against the OC. Obviously, there's some animosity between that personal, bragging rights. I like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Definitely think that they should have deserved more. Once when they made it onto the WWE, main roster with AJ Styles as the Good Boys. Well, not the Good Boys. They were the Good Brothers. Sorry, the Good Boys. I think that's a movie actually. But you had the Good Brothers go out there. You had Mi Chen, AJ Styles. I feel like that stable could have been a little more successful than it actually was. I feel like it wasn't really pushed, so to speak, like the bloodline. The bloodline was pushed so much to the point where you kind of saw stables like the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley, Cedric Alexander, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin kind of falter to it. You also saw tag teams like the Street Profits kind of fall. You also, once again, talking about the OC and AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson kind of suffer from how hard they really honestly wanted to push the bloodline. And it worked. It really honestly worked in terms of the heavyweight division. But when you think about the tag team division, you're kind of like, okay, so you put the belts on Jimmy and Jey Uso for so long. So where does that lead the tag team titles? Oh yeah, that's right. Somewhere where we can't even touch them. Somewhere where WWE tag teams were kind of like floating in the atmosphere. They're like, okay, like, so when are we gonna get our chance? What's gonna happen here? And the fact that they had never got their chance is the reason why most of the WWE audiences forgot about them. If you're not on TV in terms of professional wrestling, you're going to be forgotten about. And that's something that I felt like kind of crippled the WWE tag team division honestly, in my opinion, 1010%. But, obviously you have a different view. Hit up the chat. Tell me how you feel. And yeah. So next we have Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca is going to take on, is she going to finally shut up Fallon Henly? Fallon Henly took to Twitter/X this afternoon, stating that that Sol Ruca blew her chance. Sol Ruca had a chance to be one of the greatest, but couldn't really get it done. Couldn't honestly get it done. Kind of sad, kind of sucks because I love Sol Ruca. I think she has a pretty bright future ahead of her. But yeah. Then we also got a chat that that's true. NXT are keep fighting back if they go after in any championship match throughout this season. But if any TNA wrestlers who crash it in through NXT, but partnership, but what would happen in NXT? I feel like something that NXT, that's going to happen in the future. They're going to start selling out arenas, and they're going to have to. I feel like ultimately this partnership with potentially the NWA, and yeah, that is up in the air. That is up in the air with the National Wrestling Alliance, also TNA. You're gonna have to have those, those promotions kind of sell out big stage arenas that WWE NXT never really had to do before, because it's always been balanced in Full Sail Academy. Obviously, if you attend Full Sail University, you could have a chance in terms of journalism, communications majors. You have a chance at kind of dabbling your pen in terms of sports journalism within the WWE throughout WWE NXT. But I feel like it's important. I feel like this whole collaboration between WWE NXT and TNA is just a way for TNA to kind of finally be, its own entity. It's been reported, by multiple sources, Cage Side Seats, Ringside News. Also, I think I read an article on SportsIllustrated.com. Don't quote me on that. That, NXT, it's NXT. Something that I also noticed from the NXT pay-per-view on Sunday is that they don't say WWE anymore. You don't say, oh, WWE, NXT. It's just NXT. So there's no doubt in my mind that NXT is going to become its own entity. Its partnerships with TNA will grow. I feel like at this point it kind of has to. for both promotions. And also, I mean, like I said, there's still that wild card of, you have, Billy Corgan, the front man of the Smashing Pumpkins, and also the president of the the National Wrestling Alliance wants to go through an invasion kind of angle to kind of make things interesting. So, should be interesting. It's still up in the air with WWE and NXT. Just kind of finish it out real quick. Joe Hendry has been reported to be backstage. Joe Hendry is backstage at not TNA, at WWE NXT tonight on Tuesday's episode. So, should be interesting to see if he addresses his former TNA brethren with Ethan Page, the new NXT, the new face of NXT, the WWE NXT World Champion Ethan Page. And then, just kind of finish up, we had Damon Kemp is no longer with WWE NXT. He took to social media and he said, and I quote, as of today, I am no longer under contract with WWE. Forever grateful for the people that I have met and the experiences I have had. So definitely love that for Damien Kemp. Kind of sucks. He was a member of the No Quarter Catch crew. Once again, once when Drew McIntyre, Drew Gulak kind of left NXT. I felt like this stable was kind of left out to die, but that was obviously that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Next, we're going to move on to our third segment, AEW's biggest mistake in their whole entire lives of letting go of CM Punk. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about the subject matter. So, yeah, let's do it.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We had our WWE NXT preview, and now we're going to jump on into AEW's biggest mistake of letting go of CM Punk. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your questions, comments, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to see in terms of future storylines, maybe some future champions, maybe your predictions for WWE SummerSlam. But yeah, it's all gravy. It's all gravy, baby. Once again, leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Also, remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Follow the show. Follow the network, GSMC Sports Network. Once again, tell me how you feel at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so let's go ahead and dig on into our segment. We're going to talk about how CM Punk basically, him getting let go of AEW was probably the stupidest thing that AEW could possibly do. All right, so CM Punk had an altercation with Jack Perry in London at All In, and it was reportedly so that it was not the only reason why Tony Khan's promotion of AEW ultimately kind of let CM Punk go. Tony Khan, according to eyewitnesses, felt physically threatened by CM Punk, and I'm like, okay, like physically threatened, like even after you had you had conversations, you had interviews, you also had segments on podcasts on like sports and stuff like that. That CM Punk was like, dude, like I did not do anything to kind of threaten his life. But even Tony Khan was like, you know what? Like I don't know if he we all know how CM Punk is. We're wrestling fans. We all know how he is. Could be a little confrontational at times. Could be a little demanding. Could perhaps one of those people that has a creative control clause in their contracts like Hulk Hogan did with WCW. But, I know Tony Khan is a good owner. He's a good owner. He generally cares about his superstars, but just because he's a good owner doesn't necessarily mean he does great for the company. And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, a lot of sources in terms of professional wrestling, you read articles and stuff like that, and you're like, man, you know what? Tony Khan, he's a great guy, but perhaps, like sometimes in the world of, even in the business world, you might have a boss that's too lenient, turns the other cheek from time to time, way so often. That's a little bit too nice. And you're like, oh my God, I freaking love that guy. Like, that's so awesome. But at the same time, like, you could get taken advantage of. I'm not saying 1,010% that's what CM Punk did, but I definitely think obviously there's a lot of other factors that kind of go into it, and we're going to talk about them right now. I feel like Tony Khan was never able to kind of communicate effectively or reason with CM Punk because that was his problem with WWE to kind of begin with. So when when you think about that and when it's kind of been confirmed, you're kind of like, oh, okay, now it kind of makes sense. Now it kind of makes sense why CM Punk never really made it within AEW. Obviously, you kind of had Cody Rhodes start with the Young Bucks, the Elite, Kenny Omega. Like, it's just not the same. And the president, Tony Khan, it's like to the point where you have to consider who the hell you're trying to complain to. And CM Punk, like we all know, like he likes to push the limits. He likes to push the envelope a little bit. Like at the same time, you're like, why do you do that, CM Punk? Why? But at the same time, as WWE fans, as AEW fans, you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, that's kind of why we dig this dude. That's the reason why we kind of like it. So, I have a chat right here from my man. He's like, oh, great, here we go. After that's why Tony Khan is letting go to CM Punk when he's going after Jack Perry. I mean, if you're trying to pay the guy throughout the year, but Punk doesn't want to make a deal. Yeah, that's true too. Honestly, I'm gonna give that to you. I'm gonna give that honestly 1,010%. When it comes to a business, when it comes to WWE, when it comes to a wrestling promotion, you kind of have to come to this understanding, especially with the other wrestlers. But according to backstage, interviews and stuff like that, CM Punk was never really disliked backstage. Obviously, he did have a brawl within the Elite, and then he had that little stint with Jack Perry, and then with Tony Khan. CM Punk, obviously, as a younger guy, when he came back to WWE, he apologized. He was like, look, like, he didn't say he was the B word, but he was like, dude, honestly, I was kind of being a little B. Like, I'm man enough to admit whenever I'm wrong. And maybe perhaps he did learn his lesson going into a more, kind of like an outsourced, kind of more, not distinctive wrestling promotion, a little more, I don't want to say reproach because at the time you have AEW trying to establish their name, trying to establish the creativity, trying to establish the way that they want their promotions to kind of go. And then you have CM Punk come in. Obviously, everyone's super excited to see Punk. WWE fans, wrestlers backstage. You have a bunch of fans backstage. It's hard. It's something that wrestling that, you love it for the same reasons, kind of, you love CM Punk for the same reasons, kind of why you hate him. It's because he's not afraid to kind of push that envelope. And when he hits those promos where he mentions, and still to this day, he's still talking trash about AEW. And then when he was with AEW, he was talking trash about the WWE. That's just CM Punk. That's just the way he is. That's just his character. That's his persona. Absolutely kind of crazy. But, while announcing Punk's departure on Collision, you can see the anger in fans. You can see the anger in fans from Tony Khan. They took Tony Khan has some giant wibbles going out there, and he was like, you know what? Although, Collision's in Chicago, CM Punk's hometown, I'm going to walk out there and tell him what's what. CM Punk is no longer with the company. For the first time in my career, I have felt threatened. And a lot of fans were absolutely irate. You read reviews online. You check out some Reddit views about the whole CM Punk and the whole, Tony Khan kind of relationship within AEW. And Warner Brothers Discovery gave the green light show for AEW Collision happening on Saturdays, mostly because CM Punk. But once when CM Punk left Warner Brothers Discovery, they were kind of like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we won't cancel you guys, and no, we support your decision of letting go to CM Punk. But in reality, they didn't. They didn't. Who would want to? Do you see CM Punk right now on WWE? He can create a show on his own. Monday Night Raw is basically the CM Punk show without the Judgment Day kind of drama. CM Punk could go out there, create promos. He can kind of dictate a show all around him throughout 3 hours. That's pretty damn impressive. So, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Another altercation, including the Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, kind of happened. Cody Rhodes, after he departed from AEW in 2022, and then you had the brawl happen September of 2023. I don't know. Could Cody Rhodes have kind of been the glue to kind of hold AEW, the Elite, Tony Khan, and CM Punk together? Cody Rhodes was kind of like, he kind of kept that professionalism. He left AEW for personal reasons. And we're going to dig into that in our next segment. But I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. I don't know. CM Punk is he's a show in and itself. He went from taking shots at WWE, taking shots at AEW now. CM Punk, he is a little injury prone. He's getting older. He's up there. But was it the right decision for AEW to kind of let him go? Honestly, at this point, I don't really see it happening. Like I said, Cody Rhodes leaving. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk were pretty close. They were quote unquote dinner buddies and stuff like that on the road. And then when you kind of have that glue, when you kind of have that, like, all right, Cody, as soon as you leave, I can't say stuff. I can't say anything about where my character is going. It's in the hands of these two guys, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, also Kenny Omega. And Cody Rhodes is like, you know what? I feel for you, CM Punk, but ultimately, I kind of want to go back to WWE because I am having my own issues with this promotion that I have created. So a lot of drama, a lot of stuff. Obviously, not a lot of perhaps maybe it might be a little scandalous thinking that there could be a little of a little jealousy, a little stick it to you that once when Cody Rhodes came to WWE, they're like, look, AEW couldn't do it, but we're gonna put Cody Rhodes on the map and we're just gonna stick it to AEW. That possibly could have been it as well. I'm kind of crazy. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about our next segment. We're going to talk about why Cody Rhodes left AEW. Do not go anywhere. Grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite beverage, and let's talk about some good old-fashioned wrestling. So, hey, stay beautiful and stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here, your favorite wrestling fan in the whole entire world. Make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, talking all things wrestling. Love a conversation. Absolutely love, especially with you guys talking about wrestling. 1,010%. Shoot me your comments. Any chat is highly appreciated. Just kind of reiterate what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review, WWE NXT preview. We also talked about how AEW kind of screwed up letting go of CM Punk despite all the animosity, all the drama and stuff like that backstage. So let's talk about why Cody Rhodes left. One entrepreneur, one pioneer, of professional wrestling leaves, and the other one kind of follows. All right, so Cody Rhodes obviously left AEW to go to WWE. Not really much of a surprise there. Obviously for for obvious answers and like Captain Obvious to be like, oh, dude, obviously when you're in WWE, you kind of have more exposure in WWE. You could fulfill your father's legacy, Dusty Rhodes and stuff like that. And yeah, that was a huge reason why Cody did leave AEW. 1,010%. But there was a personal reason. There was a reason that he really honestly did not open up to the media until, quite frankly, he felt comfortable. Obviously, after he became the WWE Undisputed Champion at WrestleMania 40, he was like, you know what? Like, I kind of need to become face to face with my demons here. I need to kind of, open up to the media discussing why exactly I left AEW. So once again, obviously Cody Rhodes, when he left for WWE, he knew he was going to be a huge professional wrestler. You also had Triple H in his ear, constantly talking to him, constantly be like, "Hey Cody, like you need to come back, dude. If you come back, you're going to be bigger and stronger than ever. You went out, you established yourself internationally, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Ring of Honor, TNA, AEW, you name it." So Cody Rhodes, 1,010% is an international star. And then you also have Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard was also another huge reason why Cody Rhodes came back. Obviously, a huge friend of his father, personal, acquaintances and stuff like that. It's something that, you can't really blame the American Nightmare for. Like you see a sinking ship. And I'm going to get into that a little later. You see AEW, although you helped created it, it gets to the point where you kind of see where it's going. Just like you kind of, I don't even know how to, kind of find a way to kind of metaphorize this. It's like once when you and your friends are, we go into business venture together, and absolutely it's killing it. It's happening. It's getting a lot of views. And then they wanted to bring the company a certain direction that you're like, you know what? Like I kind of think that it should be this way. I kind of feel like this is exactly what works. What you're doing kind of seems like it's going toward like a Vince McMahon kind of WWE kind of angle. And the only thing that's going to decipher us from WWE, from if what's going to decipher WWE from AEW is things that WWE wouldn't do. And at that time, especially during 2008, 2018 to about 2022, late 2022. Maybe early 2023. Don't quote me on that. They could have found a huge reason. They found a huge reason why people wanted to tune into AEW instead of WWE. And they were doing great. They were doing awesome. I remember attending the WWE Raw event at the Staples Center when I was the Crypto.com arena. I went. I was with my wife. I was with my brother and his fiance. And I looked at it. It was just empty. Probably about 5,000 fans, to be honest. Kind of like what you see happen on Collision, kind of what you see happen on Rampage, where they absolutely, you don't have the camera centered in on the, I think it's the west side. You kind of have them figure, obviously, how the cameras work on WWE, how you kind of have, some people in front right here, the announce table, people right here, making it seem like it's packed. As a wrestling promotion, you never honestly kind of want to show your hand in terms of, trying to give your opponent kind of an edge, be like, oh, they're, viewerships and, audience retention's kind of decreasing. So WWE did do that as well during that time. And it wasn't until after Vince McMahon finally left that Triple H was kind of like, all right, now we need to take this. We need to take the WWE from being a corporate approach to the WWE Universe approach. And obviously, as a guy who's wrestled inside the ring more times than anybody, a 16-time world champion, Triple H, honestly, who better? Who better to kind of take over the company than Paul Levesque? So, Cody Rhodes, 1,010%. I feel like all Elite Wrestling has suffered since Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Ever since they left AEW, they haven't been the same. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, they served as the company's EVPs. Following AEW All Out, after winning the AEW World Championship, you had a media scrum alongside. CM Punk was sitting with AEW President Tony Khan, not directly naming them, but he talked about Colt Cabana and also Hangman Adam Page and also the Elites. After that happened, the Elites confronted CM Punk in his dressing room, and it was turned into an absolute brawl. Absolutely crazy. Pretty crazy. Speaking on the MMA Hour, Cody Rhodes, when found out the news about the brawl, was disheartened. And he said this, and I quote, this wasn't the vision, well, how I envisioned how AEW would grow. And it's true. It's true. 1,010%. As soon as he left, it kind of went to shit. Kind of with the, sorry, excuse me. Kind of with the crap there. I feel like Cody Rhodes was one of the glue that kind of held professionalism together, kind of held the EVPs, kind of held Omega, held the Young Bucks, held Tony Khan, also kept CM Punk in check. You kind of need that guy. Obviously when, kind of relates like if you go to a party and you're like, dude, okay, I'm going to go with my friend. But if my friend was here by himself, I feel like these other guys would kind of eat him alive. You're kind of that bridge. You're that bridge that you need to establish respect amongst the two. And then that creates awesome. That creates awesomeness. I also have another chat right here. AEW because of other talents. I left AEW because of a personal reason. It's called personal issues. Ouch. Shame. AEW is a shame. I I love AEW to a certain extent, but I agree. I feel like AEW kind of shoots themselves in the foot, here and there. Obviously, you kind of have the Young Bucks. Ever since the Young Bucks took over as EVPs, they don't have that pop like they used to have in New Japan Professional Wrestling, where everyone was like, damn, these guys, these brothers, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson from Rancho Cucamonga, California, are absolutely killing it. They're absolute dogs. Like, you don't see that anymore. You don't get that same feeling. And me as a wrestling fan, 1,010%, I hate it. I hate it. I'm pissed. I think it's terrible. I think definitely AEW could do a lot better. It's just insane how it kind of all, they're still a young company. And the views that they are having right now tower over TNA, Ring of Honor, National Wrestling Alliance, Stardom. So it's not like they're that bad. But it's to the point where if you want to try to contend with somebody like the WWE, which nowadays I feel like in terms of the sports entertainment industry, in terms of professional wrestling, you can't. You can't hang with the WWE. You can't. Why would you try to compare to WWE? You're like, oh, like, what do you like? That's like if you're driving a minivan and you see, next to you pulls up a Ferrari and you're like, oh, I'm going to totally take this guy. I could take this guy. I got him. Even if he gives you a 10-second start, even a minute, maybe even an hour. If he gives you an hour head start, he's going to catch up to you and he's going to beat you because it's just better. It's a better product. It's not rocket science. It's crazy. So I don't know, kind of crazy. Despite the rumors that Cody Rhodes left the company due to a deteriorated relationship between the EVPs, he admitted that he had, Cody Rhodes admitted that he did butt heads with the Elite in terms of wrestling philosophies and stuff like that. But Cody Rhodes' relationship with the EVPs and the Elite is great. Kenny Omega, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, Hangman Adam Page. And he said, and I quote, our different opinions is what made us stronger. 1,010%. And I quote, he said, that's what made us work. Cody Rhodes claimed that, the way he exited, how he exited AEW, he left the locker room and you had CM Punk returning to professional wrestling because you can bet CM Punk was, he debuted February. No, don't quote me on that. No, August of 2021. And then Cody Rhodes left in February of 2022. People are excited. Backstage, people were excited. The locker room was excited about CM Punk returning to professional wrestling for the first time since 2014. Cody Rhodes said, and I quote, I also had a great relationship with CM Punk. He was my dinner buddy. Once again, just, that bridge. Sometimes you need that bridge. It gets to the point where it's, I would say the Elite were probably closer together than Cody Rhodes. I feel like out of the four, Cody Rhodes was kind of like the odd man out. You had Matthew Nicholas Jackson and Kenny Omega being together, for a long ass freaking time. Then Cody Rhodes, he was like, all right. CM Punk trusted Cody Rhodes. He trusted Cody Rhodes. And then as soon as he left, butted heads, not surprisingly, with the Elite and also Tony Khan. So, kind of crazy. The controversy surrounding the backstage brawl between CM Punk and the Elite, it was difficult for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, he thought to himself, he's like, his legacy, the legendary that, the legacy that they built for AEW is absolutely tarnished. And during CM Punk and Cody Rhodes' time in AEW, the ratings from August of 2021, February 2022 when Cody left, it averaged about 1 million viewers. After Cody Rhodes left, and it was just CM Punk from 2022 to September of 2023 when CM Punk got fired, it was 900,000 to 990,000. It hit a million on separate occasions. After CM Punk left in 2023, they went from 900,000, 800,000, 700,000, 600,000. The word a million in terms of professional wrestling ratings in AEW is abysmal. It's gone. It's never going to happen again. Never going to happen again. It's, it's kind of crazy. And, did Cody Rhodes kind of see this coming after he kind of saw like where the elite wanted to bring the company? Yeah, that could happen 1,010%. But, maybe that's why he got the hell out. It's crazy. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. I'm kind of running over time a little bit before we get to Emerald Soccer Podcast at 9:30. So we're going to talk about real quick. We're going to talk about Tuesdays today in wrestling history. So, hey, do not go anywhere. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan, Eric Rodriguez here, the host of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We had our WWE NXT preview. We talked about why CM Punk got fired and how it was a huge mistake by AEW of letting go of CM Punk. Basically, sealed their fate, killed their ratings, and also why Cody Rhodes left. Why Cody Rhodes left. And now we're going to talk about today in wrestling history. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. A cute little photo of the elites and also Cody Rhodes to remind you guys that, Cody Rhodes is awesome. Obviously when you have you kind of rise above the hate. John Cena reference. Hello. But now we're going to move on into our today in wrestling history. So let's go ahead and doggone do it. So in 1963, the AWA World Heavyweight Championship title change took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when the Crusher, I just love that. Imagine be like, yeah, what's your name? Hey, my name's the Crusher. The Crusher defeated Vern Gagne for the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. Definitely got to touch. Definitely got to, pay your respects to some of the old guys that kind of paved the way. Definitely love that. 1985, you had the Rock and Roll Express, Wiki Morton, and also Robert Gibson win their first NWA World Tag Team Championship with the win over Ivan Koloff and also Crusher, Chef, and Shelby, North Carolina. Wow. Crusher. We went from the Crusher, Crush Chef. Man, why don't they make wrestling names like that anymore? That's crazy. Like Crusher. What's your name? Crusher. No, I think that's pretty badass. Obviously, you have the Rock and Roll Express, one of the best tag teams in the whole entire world. I believe they were in my final four. I did a WWE, I did all of wrestling. I did basically all of wrestling. The top tag teams. I started off with the Sweet 16 down to the Elite 8. Talked about the final four, and the final two was between the Wild Samoans. And was it the Rock and Roll Express? I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Damn it. I think it was. I gotta look back in my. Make sure you check out those videos. Go ahead and Google it right now. Be like, hey, Who won? Eric Rodriguez. Who does Eric Rodriguez, think is the best wrestling tag team of all time? These guys were absolutely dominant. They won so many titles within the within the NWA in terms of tag team wrestling. Kind of built up the future, kind of built up the legacy, kind of built up what it takes for a successful tag team to run in terms of professional wrestling. These two guys did it right. They did it the best, and they are absolutely 110%. They made it into the WWE Hall of Fame. Obviously, no freaking surprise, but love the Rock and Roll Express, 1,010%. Next, we have in 1986, you see the Fabulous Moolah defeated Velvet McIntyre for the WWF Women's World Tag Team Championship in Sydney, Australia. McIntyre had defeated Moolah for the title just 6 days earlier. Talk about a title change. Talk about a title change. You have the longest reigning WWF Women's Champion right there within the Fabulous Moolah. I love the Fabulous Moolah. I remember, she used to have promos. She used to come out with, Mae Young. Oh my God, Mae Young was so dirt. Oh my God. She was crazy. She was crazy. And, I was brought up during the Attitude Era. 1,010%. I was brought up during the Attitude Era. And I remember watching the what was it? 1998 Armageddon when the Cat fought somebody in a mud wrestling match, and then Mae Young came out and she was like, it was crazy. It was absolutely, that was WWE back in the day. It was crazy, but Fabulous Moolah. A lot of young women's wrestlers obviously looked up to this woman. She was amazing. The longest reigning WWF Women's Champion of all time. Her accolades don't go any short of that. She was part of the AWA, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think she touched on the AWA. I'm not too sure. But this girl was impressive. This was before women's wrestling was women's wrestling. This was, that all right, we have two girls that can actually go at it, fight in matches and stuff like that. Or we could totally, kind of subject them to, but I know, obviously this is a wrestling podcast. Don't want to send any scandalous ideas out there. So I'm going to keep it short. But I just think it's kind of cool. I just think it's kind of cool how Fabulous Moolah, she definitely deserves all the respect. It deserves all the smoke. One of the best women's wrestlers of all time. You can't tell the story of the women's revolution. The first one with Lita, Trish Stratus, Molly Holly, Victoria from WCW. And then, of course, you have the Nikki Bellas, you have the AJ Lees, the Caitlins, you also have Beth Phoenix, and now you have, you had the Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, and now you have the Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. You can't tell all these girls' stories. You can't give them, much, well, you give them respect. But there had to be a pillar. There had to be a pillar that was like, you know what? Women could go out there and kick ass too. And Fabulous Moolah, she was fabulous. She was amazing. All right. So in 2000, WCW Bash at the Beach. You saw Hulk Hogan leaving WCW for good. Vince Russo claimed that Hulk Hogan refused to lose to Jeff Jarrett, while Jeff Jarrett was defending his WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And, it was just, oh man, this was huge. This was huge. I remember seeing highlights of this. I watched it. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, dude, at the same time, you feel for Hulk Hogan. Yes, he was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. After he left, obviously the NWO wasn't the same. Kind of crazy. Is it crazy that WCW failed shortly after this? No. This was the beginning of the end for WCW. You had Hulk Hogan, too proud. Obviously, he had a creative control clause in his contract. He did not want to lose to Jeff Jarrett. Why? I don't know. Pride, ego. Yeah, that seems about right. That sounds about Hulk Hogan in his late 30s. Yeah, dude. Hulk Hogan, you gotta own up to it, dude. Hulk Hogan, Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff. If you're watching that documentary series on Vice of Who Killed WCW, these three guys were a huge reason why. because someone's like, "Oh, let's do this, let's do that," and Hulk Hogan was like, "Well, I'm in the freaking ring, brother. I know exactly what's going on. I know what the fans want, brother. Yeah, brother. Dude, stop, Hulk Hogan. You were past your prime, and you couldn't lose this. You couldn't like follow directions. You couldn't, obviously a lot of animosity between the two of Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan. So then you saw Jeff Jarrett come out, absolutely lay on the floor. Hulk Hogan demanded the mic. He was like, "Come here." Looked Vince Russo. Vince Russo tossed the title. He threw the title at Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was like, "This is exactly why this company is heading toward this is exactly what's killing this company." And he covered Jeff Jarrett, grabbed the fake, the phony title, the Hulk Hogan's retirement title that Vince Russo liked to kind of talk about. And I don't know, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was like a lot of people kind of thought that this was a promo, but it was real. And you never saw Hulk Hogan again. You never saw the NWO be the same, WCW, let alone. And then WWF/WWE, Vince McMahon saw this. He took advantage of it. He killed it. He grabbed that fish, clubbed it to death, took advantage, bought stocks of WCW. People were bailing out. Guess who all of a sudden is the main stockholder? Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Kind of crazy. Huge reason why WCW faltered was one match. Absolutely crazy. So much when Jeff Jarrett laid down simply to give Hulk Hogan the pin when Hogan walked out of WCW for good. Vince Russo came out. We had Jeff Jarrett and Booker T. An impromptu WCW World Heavyweight Championship match where you saw Booker T win and becoming the new WC five-time. I don't think it was 5-time right then, but he was a five-time WCW champion. Gotta love that. I got another chat from my boy. I never forgot about Tuesday Night Titans, but damn, that history in Tuesday Night in 1984 until I watched through video until I was born in 1991. That's how powerful wrestling is. 1,010%. That's something that, I was born in 1992. I kept tabs on. I became a huge fan of professional wrestling probably when I want to say like 7 or 8. Kind of like when you kind of have all these youngins looking up to John Cena and stuff like that. I was looking up to, I was watching WCW. I was also watching the WWF / would become WWE. And that was pretty cool. It was pretty magical. I, loved it 1,010%. All right, in 2001, today in wrestling history, 2001, one of the most wildest Monday Night Raws in WWE history, the debut of ECW faction and also the formation of the Alliance. The APA defeated the Dudley Boys for the WWE Tag Team Champions. The team of Chris Jericho and Kane fought against Mike Awesome and Lance Storm. That was interrupted by ECW's Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam making their debuts. And it was a beatdown. It was a complete beatdown. The audiences, they were going crazy, absolutely crazy. And to save Kane and Chris Jericho, you saw the Dudley Boys come out. You saw Raven. You saw Taz. You saw Just Incredible and even Rhino rush to their aid. But as soon as they got in the ring, they pulled that turn. I was like, oh, shit. And then it was like a beatdown. You essentially had a 10-on-2. It was crazy. Poor Chris Jericho, poor Kane. I'd be like, dude, when I signed up for this, I didn't think I was getting my ass kicked. But no, it was crazy. It was absolutely pretty crazy. And then you saw a promo with Shane and Vince where they started a short alliance, a fake alliance. WCW was aligned by ECW. You had Paul Heyman, you had Stephanie McMahon, you had Shane, all just tormenting the father, Vince McMahon and stuff like that. You saw WWE in a delicate state, as the babyface would be. It did. This whole promo, I feel like, and this is my opinion, 1,010%. I think it didn't start too bad. Obviously, it ended. There was this building blocks of worse. Embarrassing WCW superstars. Yes. ECW superstars. Yeah, they can't hang with WWE superstars. WWF Vince McMahon's like, nah, let's bury them. But it started off pretty cool. But then, obviously got effed. Kind of sucked. Kind of terrible. I don't know. It didn't start off too bad. WWE was the darling. They were the David and the Goliath, the Bible story and stuff like that. They got all the attention, they got all the fans, they got all the support. So, good for WWE, good for Vince McMahon to kind of swing it that way. Back in 2017, we're going to talk about, WWE's Great Balls of Fire in Dallas, Texas. Just going to touch on this. Brock Lesnar defeated, Samoa Joe. I watched this match and I was like, dude, why didn't Samoa Joe win? I felt like Samoa Joe should have won. I don't know. WWE loves Brock Lesnar. I'm kind of banking on him never coming back to the WWE. I don't know if that's for personal reference or if that's just for, everything that's happened with the allegations with Janelle Grant. I'm not too sure. And we have a comment. The OMG reminds me of DX territory march to the WWE headquarters with the goddamn tank. Oh my God. Why do you got to bring up the tank, bro? Why do you got to bring it? Oh, that was freaking awesome. Oh my God, that was great. That was great. I was a DX guy. I do love the NWO and definitely one of the strongest factions in the world. In the world of professional wrestling, I'm all saying in the world as if it can take down Putin and like all the other dictators. Like, but no, like it was awesome. Definitely one of the most memorable moments with DX invading WCW, and that's just wrestling. I can tell you, my man, that you were an attitude era kind of guy, man. Tune into my show, man. I want to talk to you more and more. Don't want you to leave. Don't leave me. I feel like you make the show 110% better. So, all right, let's, unfortunately, I am all out of time. I hate it. I've gone 18 minutes over, might get Hulk Hogan out of here and get fired. No, I'm just kidding. No, hopefully that's not the case. But anyways, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, and remember to follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, social media platforms that you use. And remember that at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010%. So can't wait to see more of you guys. Can't wait to see more of the chats. Obviously, the show is nothing without you guys. 1,010% the audience is with you guys. Support the GSMC Sports Network. We have a lot of passionate podcasters here at the GSMC Sports Network. If I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have my boy Nelson with the Basketball Podcast, my boy Chris with with GSMC Fantasy Sports. Fantasy football is coming around, and if you want to find out who's going to be your round picks, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make sure you watch that show. It's going to be pretty dope. We have my boy, Kenny with football, Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast, Emran that's coming on with soccer right now, Samantha with the Hoops and Heels, your one-stop shop for women's sports, Olympics, MMA, the WNBA, 1,010% pretty awesome. Then we have my man, the CEO, my tribal chief, Andrew Tate, with the Tate podcast. Absolutely dope. We have Jeremy, also TJ, talking about sports, 1,010% accurate as hell, 1,010% free. That's something, that we have Tommy with college sports. College sports is just around the corner, so make sure you tune into that. We have my boy Sam with baseball and my boy Garrison with golf and hockey. So, honestly, love this network. Love the guys that are here. 1,010%. Check them out. It's free. It's not like Fox Sports or ESPN where you got to pay for stuff like that. Not being scandalous. I'm just kidding. No. But it's absolutely free. Be a part of this GSMC Sports Bloodline. Have an amazing Tuesday night. Enjoy your Wednesday hump day. Tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to talk about all things wrestling. So, hey, stay beautiful. Have a good night. But most importantly, be well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.